stout-hearted dwarf dove deep below the stone to loot precious treasures. Kobolds, goblins, and unholy beasts! Oh, guard yourself! Oh no! Your valiant loot! Forge mighty weapons and armors, then descend from our majestic dwarven halls into the perilous layers of the abyss. Strange biomes to explore, precious resources to harvest, and deadly foes to vanquish. Let not your dwarven pride cloud your fate, for if ye fail to be extracted back to the kingdom, ye and your hard-won treasures are doomed to remain forever below the stone! The Extraction roguelike beckons the bravest on November 17th in early access! Play the free demo now with controller support!
The Sin virus is rapidly spreading its tendrils across the city. Your mission? Burn it out. Purge it at absolutely any cost.
Clench your holes, kids. We're entering paradise airspace. Johnny Turbo's our primary target. That tongueless prick's gone silent. The boy's been compromised.
Best make this a quick trip. Paradise isn't the place you want to be for long. All aboard the pain train, sir.
Rejoice, for paradise is sin, and I see all. We will consume until all dream as one.
You must have known you'd end up on the other side of the barrel at some point, Johnny. What a disappointment.
You run, you hide, you fight. All of it in meaningless charade. You dare stand before me? You who is but blood and dust. You cannot live in a world without sin.
Sir, go fuck them up.
Johnny, listen. What I'm giving you is temporary. If you don't get the full surgery in 8 months, you're gone. All your thoughts, your memories, everything that makes you you, fades.
Come on now, Johnny. I know you can do much better than this.
Now is the era of infinite sin!
Turbo Overkill, now available on PC from Apogee Entertainment. Coming to consoles later this year. Soundtrack now available on all major music platforms.
Don't be shy!
All those upgrades and you never did get yourself a chainsaw dick. What a waste.
Yeah. Been a long journey, the time we put in's a commendable feat. Yeah. So I'm glad I chose a partner that always brings the best out of me. Yeah. You never tuck your tail and run when faced with some adversity. I'm proud of the father we come. Glad I got you on my team, fam. We see some smiles, we see some frowns, we see some ups, we see some downs, we see some bright days and some dark nights. But I'm grateful that you stuck around. I know forever has never been promised, but I'm gonna ride with you till it's through. A bittersweet feeling, to be honest. Till it's all done, it's me and you. Yeah. They say bonds like we got don't last, but sometimes they thrive while some break like glass. Which time we slow down, but it goes so fast. It's time to go now, at least we had a blast. They say bonds like we got don't last, but sometimes they thrive while some break like glass. Which time we slow down, but it goes so fast. If it's time to go now, at least we had a blast.
It can't be like this forever, but as long as I feel this way, I will let you carry me. No, there ain't no time to waste. From the bottom to the top,
from the bottom to the top, don't stop.
You say it's just another day. I feel the air is saying I'm so great. Guess I'm on my way.
The world is full of stories, and from time to time, they permit themselves to be told.
I am back.
Welcome, everyone, to a spooktacular episode of our Apogee Weekly livestream. I'm your host, Trisha Hirschberger, and today we have something truly special in store for you. We're diving deep into the heart of Halloween, and it's only fitting that we're joined by a legend in the gaming community. He's one of the founders of id Software and the mastermind behind iconic games like Commander Keen, Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, give a ghoulish welcome to John Romero. But before we summon John for our chat, here's a little treat for you all. Did you know that you can snag Monster Bash HD at a spine-tingling 60% off? Get into the Halloween spirit with Johnny Dash and bash some ghoulies with your trusty slingshot. You can find the remastered version of this classic on Steam and GOG. It's the perfect game to get you in the spooky mood. Now, let's talk about November. It's a packed month for Apogee, and you'll definitely want to stay tuned to our socials because we've got a few surprises up our sleeves. First, we've got Wizardom, Apogee's latest retro first-person spellcaster, headed to early access on November 15th. If you're itching for some classic-style gaming, this one's for you. And just a few days later, you can become a dwarf who absolutely loves their precious loot. Below the Stone is an extraction roguelike that's headed to early access on November 17th. Before we chat with John Romero, he's joining us to showcase a bit of his game, Sigil 2. Now, Sigil is the unofficial 5th episode in the 1993 video game Doom. Published by Romero Games on May 31st, 2019, and created by John Romero, it has 9 missions, each with a deathmatch version, and a new soundtrack created by James Paddock and Buckethead. While initially released independently, Bethesda later released the episode as a patch for the console ports of Doom. And now, let's take a look at the in-development Sigil 2. John, I am so excited to see Sigil. For people who are unfamiliar, can you give us like a one-sentence lead-in?
Yeah, Sigil 1 was the 5th episode of Doom. It's an unofficial 5th episode of Doom, but id Software has published it, so that's kind of cool. Published it a little while ago. It's in all the ports of Doom. And the last episode of Doom that we created was in 1995. It's called Thy Flesh Consumed, and it came with the Ultimate Doom in stores. And 1995 was the last time that Doom was extended like that by anyone related to Doom. So in 2018, when it was Doom's 25th anniversary, I announced that I was doing a whole episode of Doom levels called Sigil, and that's what was released for Doom's 25th. And now, on December 10th, is Doom's 30th anniversary. And for Doom's 30th, I wanted to release another episode, and it's the 6th episode, and it's called Sigil 2. And so I just finished the first level last night. I always finish the first level last, so all the other levels are done, and the best level ends up being the first level. So people, when they start playing it, you know, it actually wasn't the first thing I was trying to figure out what to do in this episode. It's like the wrap up almost.
That's really clever.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So the gameplay we're looking at today, is that from Sigil 2 or the first one?
Yeah, Sigil 2. It's Sigil 2, and it's the first level.
Awesome.
So people can see how you play the game, or how you play this.
This is the one you just finished last night.
Yeah, just finished it.
Oh my gosh. So cool. Thank you for showing this to us. This is so neat.
Okay, here we go. We're going to play level 6, and you can see it looks really cool out here. It's a really big area. But it's also really tough. We're playing in ultraviolet mode, so it is really full of enemies. So you can take any of the paths up here. Just whichever one you think is going to keep you alive. I'll take the center one here just because it seems easier. Gets me out of the way of everything bad. Okay, now I can go behind these buildings. I already know the level, so I kind of know where everything's at. I also know that there's a really cool fire blue secret right here. And fire blue is like a funny texture in the Doom community. Here it is. If you can find the fire blue texture, it's an extreme secret, and you shoot it, then you will find a secret area, not usually as close as this one, but you find a secret area. It has an enemy in it, it has items, and it's marked as a secret, which means until you find fire blue, you cannot get 100% on any level in Sigil 2. So yeah, there's a little tip for today. Where'd that guy come from? All right, let's open up the secret right here. Yeah. All right. There's a imp right here. He decided to come up here. Let's more stuff down there. This whole place is just shooting all kinds of stuff. Let me just run out here. Bam. There's invisible specters running around. Every level. This is a very tough level, and every level in Sigil 2 needs to be more difficult than Sigil 1. And the way they did that is by kind of making up a rule that in Sigil 2, in Sigil 1, it had to be really difficult for me to finish a level. In Sigil 2, it needs to be so difficult that I can only finish the level if I save the game. So that's how hard it is to get through these levels. And you can see right here, it seems like I'm just walking through. It's not that big of a deal. But believe me, later on, it gets to be really hectic. I'm being super cautious right now. But I know where everything is. Anyone coming through here on the first try is not going to survive for too long. Oh, there we go. So this here is it's map 6, and it is just like the Cyber Demon maze of map 6. And so I made another one. This one's made a little bit differently. The other one was in a giant cavern, and it had a really interesting, tricky way of getting on top of those walls. But you can see we have to get on top of these walls. The ones in Sigil 1's was more extensive. And there it is. There's the Cyber Demon. And get me out of here! It's crazy. Just have him shoot rockets and kill that guy. Whoa! He's gonna kill me too. But if I can just get past him into the teleporter, now I'm up on top of these walls, and I can get that key and die. All right. So you can see how hard it is. It's really, really difficult. Even when there's enemies teleporting in front of you at the start. That's excellent having those cans around because they're really needed. Let's see if I show you the lava section over here. There's a lot going on in this room, of course. Not just because there's a Kako in here, but there's a lot of enemies in here. Let me get this secret. Oh, it's a secret that's not working right now. I will fix that later. But boom! There's so much around here, like enemies all over the place. There's those guys. I gotta get these. There's a guy up there. Oh, now I'm dead. Unless, nope, I'm dead. Falling into this stuff. Bad. All right. Ah, nice. Okay, so you can see just level 6. So much going on. We'll go back up into this area. Ah, jeez. Have fun with that. I just need ammo, guys. Thank you. Wow. Just living through the amount of damage these guys are putting out. Let me get a health over here. There's a little health. Get up here. Kill these guys. Well, they'll kill me. How about that? Okay. It is pretty nice. Yeah, those cans are so great. Of course, there's an invisible specter there. I'll just run up here. Get past everybody and fall into the slime. Oh, get me out of here. Nope. Burning down. Now, interestingly, I think I can get out of this one. If I jump down here, I can somehow get out? No? No. Although, here's the secret. Get over here. Alright. You want to tell them? Get a BFG. How about that? Secret BFG. Wow. Okay. That was amazing. Now I'm going to do level 1. We just loaded up. Alright, here's level 1. Alright, just finished this level last night. So let me just run it. Okay. Yeah, okay. I just need to get that and get out of here so I can shoot these guys. Yeah, that's better. I like that. Okay. Gotta kill this guy up there because he is a hassle. He will just keep on being a little turret. Okay. Now we have a cacodemon coming towards me. That was not nice. Taking a hit. And here comes a caco. He needs to just fall down. Oh, that guy sucks. And cacodemon coming up. Oh! Those little plinks. Little plinking from the guys. Well, now I'm dead. There's no way out of here. Nope. Alright, next. Plan to try this level a lot. This is ultra-violent mode, so of course it's more difficult than normal. Okay, good. Now, these guys are super annoying. They need to die. I don't want to keep on getting plinked. I call it getting plinked by these guys. And then this guy up here, super annoying. Here we go. He's dead too. Boom. Just got some more ammo. And here comes the caco. Here comes my shotgun up and kill that guy. Wow. I really need health. Really need health. Okay. Just run back. Bam. And that guy needs to die too. Alright. And then this guy. Now if you don't do things in this order, this level gets to be difficult. A lot more difficult. This is... Okay, where is he? Is he coming up? I want them to fight each other, that'd be great, but I think that he's coming up. There he goes. Alright. Got 6 more shots. He's dead. Now the cool thing is, you can see the end. There's the exit. If only I could reach it. Well, I can't reach it until I get through the level. Shoot that, shoot those guys. Okay. Well, there was a loud noise. There was a loud noise, and I think that I'm gonna get a visit from a cyber demon in a second. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Yep. Yeah, there's the cyber demon. Prepare for Sigil 2, ultra-violent mode, always cyber demons, every level. It's always a cyber demon. Alright. Alright. jump over here. Good. I'll just get fireballs thrown at me. Ouch. I'll take him out. Oh god, why am I getting hit? Why am I letting myself get hit? This is like the slowest Gatling gun. Okay, here he is. Yeah, look at that. That's as close as you get to a cyber demon in this game. Alright. I'll go over here and pick up some stuff. Look at him. He just wants to kill me. Graves. Interesting. Alright. Oh well. Gave it a try. Well, there you go. That is Sigil's first level and Ultraviolet mode.
John, again, thank you for showing us some of Sigil 2 and sitting down with us today. It's honestly such an honor to be talking to a bona fide industry legend who's still going strong. I mean, we have so much to talk about today. So let's jump right in, I guess. Can you tell us a couple of the key things that you learned or taught yourself early on that really helped prepare you to be successful as you worked at Softisk and then id?
Yeah, let's see. I started really early, so I was really lucky. I started when I was 11, and I taught myself how to program at a university that was in town. So I just basically, I secretly went into the computer lab and started using the mainframe and started teaching myself how to code. And I did that for about three. I did it for about 3 years. People didn't have computers at home back in the 70s, so it was like the late 70s. And after about 3 years, we finally got a computer at home, and that was where I spent all my time learning how to program. And I made a ton of games. So when people hear about, id Software and they say Wolfenstein 3D, the beginning of the first-person shooter, they don't know that that's my 87th game that I've made. That I've been making games until that point for 13 years.
Wow.
They have no idea. And I started, my first industry job was at Origin Systems in 1987. They were the creators of the Ultima RPG series and a bunch of other games. So that's where I started in the industry. But before that, I was being published in magazines and all kinds of stuff because I was making so many games, So what people would learn, I think the thing that people could learn to is just to get good at making games, and to do that, just come up with little bitty game ideas. Don't make a big game. Make a really small, like, indie game, because you are an indie when you just start making games. So you don't think of a giant RPG. Don't even try to make an RPG. Just try to make something that has a character moving around or whatever. Something really simple, because learning how to make games, it's way more time than you think it is. You think it's drag and drop and really easy, and it's not that easy. There's a lot of, like, as soon as you hit a technical problem, if you don't have a programmer there, you're gonna have a hard time trying to finish. So you'll probably have to team up with a coder at some point, just to make sure that the process of making games isn't super annoying. Because a lot of the process, you want it to be the creative aspect, and the stuff that you're creating is fun, and it's fun to make that stuff and put it together and play it and see what it's like. And that you're using technology 100% to do this. So it's good to have a coder on your team if you can, to solve any kind of technical issues that you have implementing the idea. But make lots of little games. That's like, you learn how to start a game, how that concept phase works, and how, like, the creation of it works, and how closing the game works. Like, when you decide, well, that's enough stuff, I think that's enough for this game. How do I finish the game? Like, does it feel satisfying when you end? And if it doesn't feel satisfying, you probably have more work to do to make it feel good for the player. But now, when you do that a few dozen times, you'll know what it's like to actually, how much work goes into just finishing the game and making it feel good. So yeah, just do that. And when you finally think that you've made something cool, like somebody else says, you know, wow, this game is really good. I'm serious, man. Like, this is really cool. Then you start submitting that game to as many indie festivals as you can for awards, for nominations, or to win. And
Mhm.
take that same game and put it everywhere, and you'll be recognized if you're nominated, and you'll be more recognized if you actually win. So, you know, get your stuff out there as soon as you get to the point where your game is good, because your games will not be good at the beginning at all. That's not
Well,
going
when
to
you
happen.
say the games are not good in the beginning, I was going to ask if you were ever going to release the kind of the Romero collection of really early games that you had made before. But do you
Yes.
think there are things other people would want to play? I mean, even just for video game history at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we actually are doing that. So yeah, it'll be cool.
That's
Um,
super cool. That's
yeah,
super
yeah.
cool.
It's gonna be pretty nice. I even have like one of my old games. If you can see, let's see, right here,
Mhm.
that's an Apple II Plus. That's a computer that I started programming on for the first time. Like
What?
when we got a first computer at home, that is it. Well, it's not the exact one. It's a like a newer one, because the original one is actually in a museum in New York.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, but this one runs. It's like running right now, and my games are on it. So
Awesome.
I have pretty much all the games I wrote on the Apple II still. Like, I've preserved all of them digitally, so I can actually do something with it.
That would be so awesome. Thank you for sharing some of your insights that you learned early on. Would you say there were a few really fortunate things that also happened during that time early on in your career that helped really propel your career as a game developer? I mean, apart from living right near a university where you could go teach yourself to program.
That was really lucky. It was really lucky getting a computer at home, because they cost so much money back then. It was real. They're like $10,000 like today. Really expensive. Um, so I was lucky to get that specific computer as well,
Yeah.
because you know, it was because that computer was before most of the computers that came, that like people talk about Commodore 64s and Amigas and
Yeah.
stuff. The Commodore 64 came out in '82, so it's years later than when I started learning how to code. So getting a computer, or getting experience on that computer early, and because it was actually harder to program that computer than, say, a Commodore 64 or an Atari 800, because those computers had hardware to put sprites up on the screen. So you didn't have to know how to put stuff on the screen really fast, because the hardware just did it for you. You just had to draw it and make it move around, but it did all the hard work. But on the Apple II, nothing is on the screen until you put it on the screen pixel by pixel. And learning how to do that really fast really teaches you a lot.
I
And so
bet.
I was really lucky to be able to get on that computer first, not knowing how important it was actually going to be to use that one specifically. Um, I was lucky that in '89, the industry, like the 8-bit industry, decided to go away. It was done. And when it was done, I at that point realized I need to get on the PC. I need to learn
Mm.
everything about the PC as fast as I can. And, I kind of felt sad about the fact that I didn't make a load runner or a choplifter or a caretaker in the '80s like a bunch of my programming heroes did. um, and that it was over, like that '80s era was over in 1990. But
Yeah.
unbelievably, in 1990, made the best games I've ever made on a PC, because I teamed up with a really great team with John Carmack and Tom Hall and Adrian Carmack, and we
Mhm.
created id Software in 1990, and officially started working 100% every day at id on February 1st of 1991. So that was really lucky to have that happen, for me to go to Softisk, for me to, like, even at Origin Systems, for me to turn down um, uh, an invitation to start working at another company, because I had just started my own company with my boss at Origin, and that company was my second game company. My first one was the one that I was making all my Apple II games at. It was called Capital Ideas Software,
Yeah.
and then my second game company was Inside Out, and that was where I did Might and Magic 2 on the Commodore 64, so I ported it from the Apple to the Commodore, and my co-founder ported it from the Commodore or from the Apple II to the PC. And then I left there after a while and started a third company with a friend of mine. And I worked on Dark Castle GS, which was like Dark Castle was a really cool Macintosh game in the 80s, mid 80s. And so we did an Apple II GS port of it. And then the fourth game company was id Software. So that was my fourth game company, and I'm up to 10 now. But I've had a lot of adventures over time, and it was really lucky, for me to kind of come across for like John Carmack's tennis game to be published on the same disc as my Substalker game, and for me to see it and go, wow, he's really good. Just from looking at the screen, I could tell that guy knows how to code, and it was on an Apple II, and when I asked them, I asked the guys in the Apple II department, hey, there's this programmer. I need a programmer in my game disc that I'm starting, and I know it's a PC game disc, but this guy looks really good. I bet he could learn the PC really fast. His tennis game looks really great. And they said, well, he already knows the PC because he found out that the PC version of soft disks, like PC disk, that they pay 2 times the amount of money that the Apple II disc pays. So if the Apple II would pay him, the Apple II disc would pay John $400 for a game. They'll pay him $800 on the PC for the same game if he made it on the PC, and he'd make $1,200 just from this one single game. And so they said he went to a PC rental company, and he rented a PC for a week. He learned how to program it, ported the game, and returned the PC in a week.
That's
and
wild.
I'm like, I want this guy on my team. So I asked if we could interview him, and they said, yeah, he's not interested because we've already tried twice. And I said, tell him it's for games only, 100% of the time, nothing but games, and that he'll be working with people that have been making games for 10 years. And so they told him that, and he said, okay, I'll come down for an interview. And he came down, and it was like a mind meld. And he immediately joined the company and got in the department. And within, less than 2 months, he'd made technical breakthroughs that basically transformed PC gaming at that time. So yeah, that was really lucky to find John Carmack and to recognize that even on a different computer, on an Apple II, that he was super special. And to get him to try to get him down there, and for him to want to do that was also really lucky. And there's just so much luck. There's luck after luck after luck, and I do believe that you make your own luck because you have to actually do things to make things happen. But if you're not ready for it, it might not happen. So it was lucky that I was ready for all of everything to happen.
Absolutely. A lot of luck. And I would say also part of that being ready is having the big ideas to take the next step, right? So what are a few of the more innovative things or big ideas that you came up with early on that really helped it achieve the global success that it achieved?
Well, one of the things that was important was stacking income for a small company. There was just 4 of us, but for us to survive, we needed to be able to make money not just from one source. It was important to have multiple sources. So even when we started id officially on February 1st, we had 2 sources of income. One of them was making games every day for soft disk, because we continued the PC game project that I had started, but we did it under contract with soft disk, so we didn't have to be there on site, and we could do our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that money was coming in, plus Commander Keen was released, and Commander Keen was making lots of money at that time. So we just saved our money. So it was really smart that we saved. It was smart to have those 2 income streams coming in. And also just the focus on making stuff and not just going out and blowing money or just screwing around. It was just like, we're nobodies right now, and we need to work really hard. And so the decision to really go for it and just get as good as we could was I think a really good idea. We just focused on doing that. And in the beginning of 1992, we were about to start making the third trilogy of Commander Keen games, and we had just finished shipping Keen 4, 5, and 6 in December. And at the end of November, we had just finished Catacomb 3D, which is the first texture map 3D game, shooter basically, except without guns. It was shooting fireballs. So it's a first-person spellcaster FPS. So we had just finished that, and then we're starting in 1992, and we're starting already for 2 weeks. We're working on a demo of Commander Keen 7. It's in VGA. It's got parallax scrolling. It looks good, but at 1 a.m. one time, like we worked all the time, so it's 1 and we're all working. And I said, guys, we should not be making this game. And they're like, what? It's looking really good. And I just said, this is not the future. This 2D stuff is not where games are going. We just finished making Catacomb 3D. That's the future. 3D, fast 3D games is where all games are going to be. Everyone's been trying to do it, and no one's been able to get there fast. Get the screen going at a high frame rate. But I think that we can do that, and that is where we need to focus our energy, is on 3D. And so that was kind of a letdown for Tom, because Commander Keen was his baby.
Yeah.
He didn't immediately say, well, why don't we do Commander Keen in 3D? It was like, we're making a whole new game. And, they're basically asking, well, what game would we make then? Because this is how we make our decisions. We make them like then. And it's 1 a.m. And so we're talking, and Tom came up with an idea that sounded like a kind of a rehash of an earlier game that we'd already made. It was our first 3D game called Hover Tank. And it just didn't sound innovative enough to me for like going really into 3D. And I said, no, I don't really like that idea. Why don't we make a 3D version of Castle Wolfenstein? And John and Tom are immediately like, oh my God, yes. That game was incredible, right? That was just like, it was a classic. It was almost like, Doom of 1981. It was amazing. And so they immediately understood, like, that is the great idea for a game. People would totally go for it. And we immediately the next day started working on that. So we stopped working on Keen 7. We started working on Wolfenstein in January 14th, around there. And we uploaded the shareware version less than 4 months later on May 5th.
Awesome.
So we designed it. We created the first shareware episode. There's just 4 of us. We uploaded it on May 5th, and then for the next for the next month and a week to 2 weeks, we finished 50 levels and a hint manual to put a giant package thing together to make all of Wolfenstein 3D's 6 episodes and all that. And every customer bought the whole deal. They didn't want anything less than that. So it's like Scott Miller's genius with his shareware marketing and his getting the word out early with, getting the shareware episode out early and getting people excited, So that really was massive when that came out. So it was really, that was a really lucky idea to do that. And then I'd say one of the other things that was big was when we were going to make Doom, we kind of knew what we were going to do with the demons flooding the out of the Hellgate and just overrunning humanity. That was already the idea. But one of the things that was really important about Doom was that the verbalization of this, where I said, we need to make the best game that we can imagine playing. That's what this game has to be, because we know we can do it. Like we're going to be able to make a great 3D engine. We're going to be able to make really great levels, that nobody has seen before on a computer. Because before Doom, even Wolfenstein was 90-degree mazes, 90-degree wall corner mazes with corridors. That's what every game was since the 70s. There was no such thing as a game different than that, and that was in 3D. So when I said that, it was like, and the levels have to match that vision. They have to be something that no one's ever seen before, that is as good as we can get in 1993, and make the best game that we can even imagine playing. And that included the multiplayer deathmatch. It included, that was a really big deal because no one has seen that before. High speed deathmatches that did not exist. So, there were a lot of things that we stuck in that game, but that was I think one of the really important points was to make the best thing that we possibly could imagine playing. Because it's one of those things where we were so used to, like, games never had demos back then. No one could see a game before you bought it back in the day. You would go into a store, you would look at the box, you look at the back at the screenshots, and really hope that the game is going to be as good as you're thinking that it is, right, when you're looking at that box. And for us, Doom needed to be what you thought the box made you feel, right? Like what you saw in the box, that game should be better than what you see on the box. And that means it's got to be the best game that you can imagine playing. You can imagine what those screenshots and the description on the back of the box is going to be. And that's what we needed to do. So we unbelievably, we thought that we could do it. We really believed that we could do this. So on the 14th, or no, January 1st, so it was around the beginning of January 1993, we put out a press release that basically said we're making a revolutionary PC game that'll be the best in the world, and we expect worldwide productivity to go down based off this game. We put a press release out. It was insane that we did that, but we did, and we even had a list of everything that was going to go in the game. And multiplayer was there, but one of the most important parts of the list was the very last item, which is an open game, which means we're making this game completely moddable by the community, because they've shown us that they really wanted to do that with Wolfenstein. We weren't making Wolfenstein as an open game, but they made it an open game. And so with Doom, we wanted to make it easy for people to put out the information that let them create levels and let them change the game. So we did that after we released it, putting out the tech specs. And that's the reason why Doom is around today. That plus the source port, the source code that we released in 1997, those two things ensure that Sigil is something that people would be caring about. Sigil 1 and 2 and all the really great WADs like myhouse.wad that came out, and Scientist 2023, and there's a bunch of really great stuff out there now because of that. So I think along the way there were some really big decisions that really changed things.
Well, and Doom, like I said, when I was young and played PC games, Doom was a box that jumped off the shelf at me. I picked it up just based on the box because I was really young, so I wasn't reading press releases or anything like that at that point. I had just seen the box and I was like, this looks really cool.
Yep.
And then I went to play it and it was way too scary for me because I was too young, but luckily revisited later on. Can confirm one of the best PC games of all time.
Nice.
John, I got to interview your longtime friend, Tom Hall, on the stream a few weeks ago. And Tom had said that you both hit it off nearly right away after meeting at Soft Disc and still maintain good contact with each other to this day. How about with the other two id founders, Adrian and John? Are you still in touch with them?
Yeah, definitely. I talked to Adrian a lot, and Carmack. We've been talking, a lot more than we have in the past. So we do talk to each other a bit. He's not in gaming anymore. He's into AI, which is really great because the problems he's trying to solve are like, there's a lot of teams trying to solve the problems that he's trying to solve. And so it's just a really fun, I think it's just a really fun challenge for him to try to get there, to get to AGI early or as soon as he could by being a single person versus a team of, hundreds. So, we still talk. I still, just emailed Kevin, got an email from Kevin today. Jay, I talked to Jay, and that's about Jay and Kevin came on April 1st of 1992. So they were there just before Wolfenstein shipped. And so the six of us are like the real core original, id guys. And I basically talked to all of them.
That's awesome. Let's for fun, just imagine the six of you are starting a new studio with the idea of just doing a few indie games over the next couple of years. Do you think that you could find a way now to stand out, given the thousands of indie games released each year now?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing about the industry that's really great, that now there are so many people that can make games. Before, in the past, you needed to be really technically proficient to even stand out. Like we wrote our own game engines, our rendering
Right.
engines. In fact, we created the first engines, and we were the first ones to license the engines. Before any Unity or Unreal, but that's because we started, and it was a good idea, and other people needed to take that idea and run with it. But for us, it would be a combination of technology and design that would make something really stand out. It has to be really interesting technology. It would most likely involve AI, and in a way that games just don't normally use it,
Hmm.
and a design that can really take advantage of that and go, far enough ahead, that anyone working with with any kind of an AI would not be trying to, come up with the ideas that we would have. And it really is. It comes down to design. If you have really great design, you can rule everything. Like, you don't have to have the next gen engine to be a really great game. If you look at Minecraft, the design of that game is why it rules. It's an incredible design. And so, yeah, I think that we can still do that. It's creativity, and if you have an unlimited well of creativity, you just keep on looking for the right, the right inspiration and the right context and the right time, and do something that people are going to be really excited about.
I love that. Here's another fun hypothetical for you. Let's say id Software never happened. The four original founders never met. Do you think we would have the FPS genre now? And if we did, how would it be different?
Yeah, I think that it would happen, but it wouldn't be like the definition that we did, with the very fast, um, just a very fast movement speed, the decisions that we made to make the game run very quickly, because there were 3D engines, even like with Wolfenstein. 6 weeks before Wolfenstein came out, Ultima Underworld came out, and it was a full 3D engine that had 6 degrees of freedom, which means you could look up and you could look down, but it was very slow. But you could do it, and over time, computers got faster, and if they just kept on working on that engine, you would then have, full movement, people moving through a space. They probably would come up with having a gun in your hand and shooting stuff, and it would eventually kind of go from there. But I think it would take a longer amount of time, um, because people would be looking at that game as the inspiration to make a shooter, and since that game was so much fun, the speed of it didn't matter probably, and so, the idea of a first-person shooter might not have been to be really fast at the very beginning in that new scenario. It would eventually get to that point, because 3D graphics cards would happen probably years later, because there wasn't any real reason to do it. um, so yeah, I think it would happen, and it would have happened differently. Somebody probably would have had like, oh, this is so great. Like Deus Ex was a really great game. You could shoot in Deus Ex, and it was full 3D, and it might be something like that, where it's almost like a simulation game, but that has a gun in it, and that part of it actually becomes the new genre form. So yeah, there's probably a lot of different ways it could have played out, if we had not done it our way, which was taking a lot of computational shortcuts to make the speed, the most important part of the experience. And like with Wolfenstein, removing the design elements that stop the player. In the player was doing things like searching bodies and dragging them and all this stuff, and it was like, get rid of all that stuff, because the speed is the game, and that became the definition of the FPS at that time. And with Doom, we wanted to keep that as an important element, but to add all the complexity around that to make a more engaging experience, but still retain that high speed and the exploration and all the mystery and sounds and all that kind of stuff. So we just kept on pushing it. And we did use computational shortcuts still to keep you from having a screen that tilted, not until Quake in 1996 did we actually have a full 6 degrees of freedom, and that was without any 3D graphic cards even being in existence at the time. That was putting every pixel on the screen at 60 frames a second in whichever direction you were using. And
Wow.
and that was us very early using a mouse to look all over the place,
It's so cool. I mean, as we have talked about, John Carmack had the lead on real-time 3D engine tech for at least 6 to 7 years. I mean, you were making so much progress. Why do you think that Unreal became the engine tech leader and not id Software, given the big early lead that id had?
Well, that's easy. First of all, we didn't really take it seriously when
Okay.
we started our engine licensing. We basically called it the $500,000 X copy, which is somebody says, "Hey, can we license your engine?" And we tell them yes, but there's no support. We don't want to even think about it. But we will copy everything onto a CD and send it to you for $500,000. Okay, thanks. And so we do that. But then there's no support. There's no idea of a separate division of the company taking that technology and documenting and doing support and engaging and reach out and all the stuff that Unity and Unreal does nowadays. We didn't do that. We did not really go serious with that because it would have required a defocusing. It would have required another business unit basically to start doing that kind of work. And as a dev team that's super hyper focused on our game, that would be defocusing. And so it was like, we should have hired people to do that. That would have been really smart, but we didn't because of our hyper focus on what we were creating. But when Jay Wilbur, our CEO, left, he went to Epic and started the engine licensing. And that's why it's where it's at.
That makes sense. Yeah, you'd have to hire a whole, like you said, a whole separate division.
Yeah.
Or split your focus and then not be so focused on games, which totally makes sense. If you now are to look back at your time at id, if there was one thing you wish you could go back and change, what would it be?
Wow. Well, I'd say probably critically it would have been when we started working on Quake. It would have been smart for us to divide our team into an engine team and a game development team. And we would have continued making Doom 2 engine games as a small dev team, while about 3 or 4 people were working on the Quake technology, which was going to take a long time. And I've talked to John about this idea, like we probably could have survived and not had our falling out together if we would have had that split, because it really made it hard on the team to stay together trying to make a game when we really couldn't because the engine wasn't done. It took a year to do it. And in the meantime, everybody's trying to make a game, and they were kind of burned out by the end. By the time the engine's ready, they were kind of burned out.
Sure.
And it would have been better to split us off so we were making something and we're putting it out. Could have been Doom 3 or something, but we probably would have made a new game anyway, because I always come up with a different game after we do a sequel. We're on to a new project. So we would have done something like that. Or if we were going to continue together as a team, then we should have made our next game incorporate only some of Quake's technology leaps that we wanted to make, and then make the sequel add the rest of them in. So if the first one would have done something like, say, internet gameplay, in not just LAN, but like do internet gameplay, and do the console, the in-game console, do the Quake scripting language, that kind of stuff. That would have been a cool next step. And the step after that would have been the full 3D engine and mouse look and full 3D levels. So we could have split it into 2 other games and we still would have survived because we would have been making constant progress every day, making something. So yeah, so we could have done it a couple different ways, but we didn't because we never had faced anything like that in our short time.
Sure.
And we tried to make it work, but it just didn't. But we still came out with Quake, which was, pretty great game.
Definitely, yeah. How did Apogee fit into the picture of id's early success?
Well, we wouldn't have probably even, I don't know, it's hard to say. I think we did start our company before before Scott contacted me. Scott had seen my games on the PC disc at Soft Disk. It's called Big Blue Disc. He had seen my games like Pyramids of Egypt was one of them, and he had sent me letters saying that he really thought it was great, but he was writing under fake names and trying to pretend that he was a player, and that I need to contact him because they found a bug or something because he thought that the people at Softus were opening up all the mail because it was physical like letters in the mail. There was no other way really. People always communicated that way. Um, so he thought he's sending letters, they're going to open them up, see that they're trying to poach programmers and throw them out. So he had to write fan mail to try and get me to contact him. And I didn't. I didn't contact him. I had the letters on my wall because I'm like, hey, I got fans. It's all the same person. Never thought, hey, why are they all yellow lined paper with the same handwriting? I don't know why I didn't think about that. But the reason why I was suspicious and got in contact with him, even though I was just ignoring him, was because I was reading a PC Games magazine, and in it was an article about Kingdom of Cross. And at the very end of the article, I saw it said Scott Miller and all this stuff. And at the very end was the address of where his mom lived and where he was running Apogee out of. And I was like, I know that Mayflower Drive address. Where do I know it? And I just like, oh my God, it's on the wall. And so because I looked at PC Games, I looked at that article, I got all the way to the end and saw the address. It was the last thing printed. It was the address, and I put two and two together. That's when I contacted him back. And I'm just like, I was super mad because like you're crazy, and then it was like, what do you want? Because like you're really successful. So, and he basically said he wanted to. We got in contact, and he wanted me to make more levels for Pyramids of Egypt, and he could publish it in shareware. And at that time that he contacted me, we already had just done the breakthrough on horizontal smooth scrolling, and the dangerous Dave and copyright infringement demo was already created, and we were working on the Super Mario Brothers 3 demo for Nintendo. So we already had done that, or we were in the middle of doing that week. And so I said, dude, like that game is a joke. You need to see what we're working on right now. This is something that we could probably do, like something we could use as tech to make another game for you. And I showed him the Super Mario demo, and he was just mind blown and wanted to make a game with us ASAP. So then we basically called him up. He wanted to know what the idea was. Tom Hall ran off and wrote up the Commander Keen paragraph that is just the introduction to Commander Keen, and he came in and we basically I think we wrote a letter to Scott and sent it to him and saying this is Commander Keen, and he just wanted to know what it was. And I said $2,000 down, and if you're serious and you pay that, then we know that we will spend all of our time doing this. This is like 3 people at that time, because Adrian wasn't ready yet. He was still learning how to draw on a computer. He knew how to draw on paper, but he was still trying to do it on a computer. So it was just going to be Tom doing the graphics and John programming and me programming and doing the levels and making the tools and doing all that stuff. So so that's what we did. We basically did that on after work, and we did it on weekends. And Scott was sending us pizza money, so he kept us going on Fridays and all through the weekend. It's funny because he sent us pizza money, and it was like, it's like him saying, yeah, could you work the weekend? And for us, it's like, we can't wait for the weekend because it's so much fun doing this. And so we were very excited to get pizza money because we're doing it anyway, right? We're going to work every hour that we can stay awake on the weekend. And we did that. Commander Keen took less than 3 months for 3 games. We came up with the idea of the engine at that time, the game engine. And Commander Keen was the first game engine game. And so we made 3 games very quickly because of the engine concept. And And then we put it out on December 14th of 1990. And Scott was, basically said it'll take a month before, you get your first check, but, he hopes it's going to do really well. He put it on Software Creations BBS, and it was just, we're still doing our day job. We don't even log into the BBS. We don't know anything. It's all Scott. We're just like, okay, well, we spent a bunch of time. We made some games. We sent it to him. Now we'll see what happens. And then when we got the check on January 15th for $10,500, we're like, okay, now we're quitting.
Yeah.
We are out of here. There's 4 of us, and back then it didn't cost that much to live, right? And that's the first month without advertising. So we're like, if we can live off of that, and we can easily live off of that, probably twice. We could live 2 months off of that, just that one check for 2 months. Like, now we can quit and get out of here. And
Cool.
and so we made a plan not to screw Softdisk, because that would have been pretty bad, because I stayed there so I could start this game disc 6 months earlier, and now we're quitting. And like, it's a big deal for their company to like spin up this entire new division because of all the accounting work, the marketing work, the production work, all of the stuff they have to put together to advertise and all this stuff. That would have been, probably a lawsuit. So it's just better to just say, we'll take care of you for a whole year. We'll make games for a whole year. You pay us, we'll make games. And then in the meantime, we'll also make games up for ourselves. And 1991, we made the most games in id Software history. We made 13 games in 1991. It's a lot.
That's a lot. It's so cool to hear about how it all began, John. Thank you so much for sharing, this peek into your history. I did want to ask you about a memoir that you recently released, Doom Guy Life in First Person, that, by the way, is getting stellar reviews everywhere, including on Amazon. Writing a book is no small undertaking. Did you write the whole thing yourself, or did you have a ghostwriter? How did that work?
Yes, I did. Meaning I did write the information that went into the book, but my wife actually took that and made a book out of it.
Cool.
So she's the one who did the actual writing and editing, and I did this massive mind dump of everything. And in the book at the beginning, it basically says I have hyperthymesia, so I remember everything. So I can just write out my whole life in a non-prose fashion. And then, and because of hyperthymesia, I think that pretty much everything is important, even just little details, because a lot of times I think those details lead to other big things. So I just dump it all out there. And then she goes through it and goes, these are the high points, the things that people care about. She's been in the industry since 81. So she knows the industry, and she knows what industry people will like and what fans will like. And she was there for everything, So she wrote it, and she's just such an incredible writer. I know people who are, their first language is not English, but they know English, and they say that the writing is so smooth that usually when they read English, that sometimes there are hitches because of certain words or certain tricky turns of phrase or wordings, and that this is just so smooth to go through that they got done in a day and a half, as English is a second language. So I've heard from a few people that they've gotten through it in 2 days, and there's a lot of words in this book. There's like 400 pages, and it's not a small font. Or no, it's not a big font. It is a small font. There's a lot of pages, a lot of words on every page. So it's a total of 166,000 words in this book. And we cut 30,000. There was 194 or something. And it was just to get in the pages. So we killed all the photos. We, like, anything that was going to eat up space that was not stories got out of there. And still we had to cut 30,000 words out. So there's still lots of stories, just not in this book.
Well, and congratulations, because like I said, it's doing so well. So congrats to both you and your wife. But here's the thing, you're still making games. So One day, will you have to write a sequel?
Yeah, well, if you get to the end of it, it does read like there's going to be another one. It doesn't sound like it's the end, just because where it ends is like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. I think I was making Sigil 2. We're planning to make it at the very end. Plus, I'm making a big shooter. I'm making a big shooter. I got a really good sized team. I got a big publisher. It's uses Unreal 5. It looks amazing. It's like that's my full daytime job. So so there's a lot going on. Plus, there's speaking. There's all kinds of conferences that we go to for fans conferences, like there's Comic-Con and game conferences. There's also technology conferences that we go to because a lot of people got into technology because they played my games, and so it's like I get to go to all kinds of conferences and still talk about stuff. So it's nonstop. It's really busy.
It's cool. So let's talk about Sigil for a moment. We got to play some of your brand new Sigil 2 levels a little earlier, but a few years ago when you made Sigil, you created physical boxes, sold very well, and you've been working on Sigil 2 this year. Now, I was told that today is a big announcement day. Can you tell us more about that?
So we're announcing pre-orders for Sigil 2. Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, so we're gonna let people pre-order it, and the game, Doom's anniversary, the 30th, is on December 10th. And that is the day that we will start shipping Sigil orders. So basically, it's this packaging, all the stuff that goes inside the box itself, all of that stuff will be done and ready and packed and ready to start shipping by December 10th. So when people order it, we'll just send it, and it won't be a big wait, So we're just announcing the pre-orders, and we'll have that all set up on our site, and we're going to have a series of reveals, I think, pretty soon, just to kind of get people excited about it. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of really good just press in general. Like it is kind of a good idea to time Sigil 2 with Doom's 30th, because there's a lot of lots of interviews and things going on for Doom's 30th, because it was a big game and a lot of people remember it, and 30 is a pretty big, that's a lot of years. So there's a lot going on around that.
Of course. And I know you had mentioned the website earlier, but what is the website if anyone in chat is like, I need to go pre-order ASAP? Where can they go?
It's Romero.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I mean, in other news in your studio, you were telling us about Romero Games, has been working on something new. You've been hiring a lot of people to work on a substantial new FPS game. When do you think we'll learn more about that?
I can't tell you, because I actually don't know when it's going to be announced.
Okay.
So the developer, when you're working with a big publisher, the developer can't do any of the marketing, and announcing is part of that, PR and marketing stuff. It's the publisher that gets to decide when that beat needs to hit, and it has to, fit in with all their plans. So until then, it's just quiet. Everybody works. We make stuff. And then at some point, marketing gets involved, and then they can start announcing things.
Awesome. So the official answer on that is stay tuned for more.
Yeah, stay tuned for more. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, John. This has been incredible. Do you have any final words you'd like to leave our Apogee community with before we say goodbye?
You guys, Apogee is an amazing company. It was awesome working with Apogee. Scott and George were great. And the games that they made, people all remember all of them, especially the build engine games. Everybody had a ton of fun. I had tons of fun playing those games, and it's great to see that there's a big community still today. And thanks for streaming, because people love to hear what you guys got to say.
Awesome. Well, again, chat, one big round of applause in chat for John Romero. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
Again, thanks so much for joining us today, John Romero. And to all of our viewers out there, remember to follow Apogee on social media. And if you haven't already, join our Discord server. All right, everyone, have a ludicrously spooky Halloween. Bye.
Eons have passed since the forces of evil plagued Terra Bruma, when the tide of the First War was turned and the chaos was sealed within the cosmic prison. But someone has disrupted the balance and broken the seal. Now you, one of the last survivors of Wizardom, must draw upon all you've learned and drive back the chaos once and for all. The time has come. Rise up and meet your destiny. Welcome to Wizardom.